So before all this video on demand, Netflix, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, YouTube, as a 90s kid, we had to wait until Fridays. Fridays was peak viewing time because every week we had a new banger on the Disney Channel drop. I mean, movies like The Paper Brigade, Smart House, Don't Look Under the Bed, Brink, and by far my all-time favorite, the one I still watch every year to this day, is Hocus Pocus, was dropped July 16, 1993. So on the surface, it's a very harmful, playful, family-friendly film. This kid Max moves to a small town. By the way, in my childhood, the name Max was so popular. Even another one of my favorite movies, Kazam, with Shaquille O'Neal, that kid's name was Max as well. That's neither here nor there. But he moved to a town. That town has happened to be Salem. He unlocks a coven that lets 3 witches out that was from Salem. Great story, funny, classic, right? But as I got older, I realized it went a whole lot deeper than I could ever imagine. For one, obviously the Salem witch trials was based off of real events. And the Salem witch trials were a series of hearings and prosecutions of 3 women that they accused of witchcraft in Massachusetts between February 1692 and May 1693. And during this time, over 200 people were accused, and 30 people was actually found guilty, and 19 was actually executed by hanging, and 3 witches in particular was executed by fire. To kind of sum it up as best as I can, the town folks had started getting sick, so they wanted to find a reason of why this was happening. So 3 women in particular had begun to have like body convulsions, hallucinations, and acting really strange and irregular, and people could not understand what was going on with them. So the next logical explanation was they was possessed by the devil and they was witches. So of course the trials went on. They convicted over 19 witches per se in the trial, but 3 witches in particular, they got burned at the stake. And why is this relevant to Hellblade 2? Well, in Hellblade 1, Sanoa's mother, Melina, she was tied to a stake by Zinbel and burned her alive to appease the gods because she was showing a lot of the same signs that the alleged witches from the Salem witch trials were as well. Hallucinations, voices, hysteria, face contortions, itching inside the skin, just a lot of things people had never seen before and could not explain. So many years later, around 1943, there was a pediatrician and a historian named Ernest Collifield that argued that the girls executed actually had something that's called hysteria. It's a psychological illness of excess emotion with various odds of physical manifestations. And with that, it's something you've seen in a lot of horror movies, a lot of films like The Exorcist and like those demon possessed movies when you see the body contortionists going backwards and shit like that. So you can imagine that's probably was some of the same things that they were seeing in those girls, which around that time, you could kind of understand why they think, okay, they must be possessed. I mean, even now to this day, I mean, if my wife bends back and starts crawling, I'm not going to instantly think, oh, she has a mental illness. I'm going to say, oh no, she's fucking possessed. Get the cross and get the holy water. You know what I'm saying? So I can kind of understand why people would freak out without trying to find any understanding. But what it really is a functional disorder of the nervous system, and in particular in women. Periods of delirium and hallucinations are also represented in the description of that same disorder. And nowadays the term hysteria is no longer used by the American Psychiatric Association. So jump ahead about 2 decades from there, around 2021, I was watching the Game Awards and it was this trailer came across by the name of Hellblade 2. I could not believe that it was a game. So of course, once I realized this was a sequel, just like most people, I went back and realized, well, what was Hellblade 1? Found it, immediately started playing it, and I instantly realized Sanoa has something that I can relate to. The depression, the hysteria, the trauma on a much lesser scale. And so the longer I played Hellblade, the more realization came to me as a player that I was no longer looking for the next boss battle or looking for the next cutscenes. And if I can borrow some bars from Kendrick Lamar to Drake, I was actually in a battle against myself. And this is why Hellblade 2 may be one of the most important video games of 2024. But before we can jump into Hellblade 2, we need to talk about the creators of Hellblade 2, which is Ninja Theory. But they wasn't always Ninja Theory, because when they first started way back in 2000s, they had another name. That name was Just Add Monsters from 2000 to 2004. But how did they get Ninja Theory? Check this out. So the original Ninja Theory was made up of 3 people. Sorry if I butchered these names. Tamim Intanades, Nina Christinen and Mike Ball founded Just Add Monsters in March of 2000 in Cambridge, England, with only 3,000 pounds at the time. So they wanted to make a kung fu hack and slash type of game. The name of that game was Kung Fu Chaos. Now they started shopping around trying to find someone to publish the game. However, because the team was so small, all the companies that was making offers, it wasn't to publish their game. They actually wanted to just buy the team altogether. So in September of 2000, they finally gave in because they needed the money for the team to organize games, and they was able to hire more people to help out with game development. So after a while, they got a demo up and running for Kung Fu Chaos. They showed it off to Microsoft. They liked the game, but unfortunately, in typical Microsoft fashion, at least in my opinion, they did poor marketing of the game, poor advertisement. So when the game finally released, it had pretty decent critical success, but commercially, it didn't make any money. But even despite of that, they began working on Kung Fu Panda 2. And someone on the scene was looking at the gaming landscape and noticed that it was changing from that type of game, really popping off, I guess. So they switched focuses to a new game. And at this time, Argonaut Games was actually having a lot of financial trouble, which the team didn't know anything about that. They was just in the trenches grinding, working on that next game. But that's going to come back to bite them in the ass here very shortly. So a few years pass, a lot of the business shit goes down that I won't bore you with here. Just go check the Wikipedia. In 2004, they rebranded and renamed the entire team to what we know now as Ninja Theory. And unfortunately, even still around this time, what you're going to see is a trend, in particular with Ninja Theory, is the quest for financial assistance, because the games that they're looking to make is the independent. So it's going to be high budgeted games, but they're going for that because of the realism, the cutscenes, the voice acting, the motion cap, and everything that they're trying to do, trying to capture in their game is not cheap. So they need that financial backing, but that's when finances and art clashes. And typically, if a company gives you a lot of money to make a game, then they want to have a lot of input of what's going on and what said game is going to be. But Ninja Theory, they're artists, they're game developers, so they're like, no, fuck you. We want creative control over what we're making, so you're not getting us to make some live service bullshit. And of course, that's when the clash happens. But luckily, in 2005, they struck up a deal with Sony PlayStation for one of their first PlayStation 3 exclusives. And the name of that game is called Heavenly Sword. And they was on the brink of bankruptcy, so they really needed that deal. But just like I said, they had to sacrifice something. And what they had to sacrifice was IP and technology rights. And if you know how passionate this team is about holding on to their shit, they had to be a gut punch. But of course, sometimes in life, you got to do what you got to do, even if you don't want to do it. Like me doing this video. No, I'm joking. So going into Heavenly Sword, Ninja Theory really had high hopes, big aspirations for Heavenly Sword. They wanted it to be a multi-million-dollar franchise and make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sequels and just blow the roof off the gaming industry. So even though they completed Heavenly Sword and had a lot of critical success commercially, it did not do well. So instead of continuing on with the franchise, they decided to scrap it and move on to that next game. That next game is called Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, which is based off a Chinese mythology book called Journey to the West. And if that sounds familiar to you, it's because one of the most anticipated games of 2024 right now, that's outside of Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2, is Black Myth Wukong, which is supposed to come out this August, but that's another video for another day. And because of Enslaved Odyssey, around 2010, Capcom took notice of them and elected them to work on their next Devil May Cry game, which is widely popular and widely loved, have a very rabid fan base. So they accepted it, of course, and they immediately received a lot of pushback because they decided to go in a different art direction. I guess one of the gaming OGs, Dante, the team actually received death threats and like a lot of harassment. And this is 2010, way before the internet was even popping off. So someone was writing letters and shit, son. Like go to MySpace and like you had to really be mad. Nowadays you can just put an ad and like tweet at someone or go to your phone. But in 2010, you really had to go out your way to send some hate to a game dev. So the fact that they got this much and it's documented shows you how bad it was. But even with still, they stuck to their guns. They put out the game. The game was actually a success, and they moved on to around 2013. And in between this time, they worked on a few mobile games. One game called Fight Back that introduced them to the business of live service models, and they did a lot of VR gaming as well, which I won't name them all here, but finally they started taking the gloves off. They really wanted to get in that bag. So they started working on this game called Razor, and they had this really cool concept. It's going to be live service, but it's going to be fun, graphically fantastic. It's nothing like you've ever seen. They started taking it to different people, pitching the idea. People liked it. However, during that time, there was another team working on a very similar game. The name of this team was Bungie, and they was working on a game called Destiny. and the rest was history from there. And most of the publishers did not want to touch Razor due to the similarities of Destiny, and all the agreements was eventually terminated, and they had to move on, which is crazy when you think about it, because Destiny is so big now, you know. So finally, Ninja Theory got fed up, and they said, you know what, fuck this. We're going to create our own lane. Their lane is going to be called Independent AAA, and this way they can use their own, they could own their own IP, publish their own game without needing the mainstream publishers that usually they have to sacrifice, you know, the IP, the technology rights, give up the marketing rights. All of that has to be usually sacrificed when you sign a major publishing deal. It's like signing to a record label. If you're a rapper or an artist and you know, and you coming up, you grinding, and you sign to a major label like Universal or Sony, they sign you into a 5-year deal, they get the publishing rights, they own your masters, the whole shit. It's the same thing. So Ninja Theory got tired of that. They said, we're gonna do our own thing, at least for a while. And that's when they came up with a game called Hellblade. They had been working on that one for a few years. They consulted with a lot of neuroscientists and doing a deep dive into cinematics, motion capture, focused on psychosis and mental illness. And at the time, it was a very small team working on this. And the craziest part for me is the main actress. She was just there as a stand-in until they found the actual actress as they needed for Sonora. The fact that they go, you know what? After months of her being a stand-in, they said, Melina can do it. She's been here. She's already the voice actress. She's already the motion capture artist. If she can just pull out her internal pain to really bring this character alive, we got a banger. And that's sure shit what they did. And what a knockout punch. Because Hellblade came to release in 2017 and absolutely rocked it. With over 500,000 units sold. That's 500,000 games sold. This is before Gamepass and on demand and all that other shit. This is across the board on multi-platforms. Won multiple awards, nominated for multiple awards, but even so, more so than the game, Melina, the actress, she's won multiple awards for her portrayal of Sonora as well. The lead actress from the Game Awards and the BAFTA Awards. The story is so incredible. It makes me so happy as someone who supports like the smaller teams and the indie teams. But y'all hear that?
Hi everyone. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox.
2018 comes around, Microsoft is on a tear. They want to pick up a lot of these small studios and help fund them so these teams don't have to worry about money, but also make the trade-off is the games have to be an Xbox exclusive, and they're going on this subscription service called Gamepass. Now I'm gonna break the fourth wall for a second because this is all my notes that I have. I got in my script that I make when I'm trying to be accurate and make these. I'm going off. These are my notes in front of the camera that y'all don't see. They keep me on point because I ramble. I'm about to ramble. So, as you know, 2024 right now is in shambles when it comes to the gaming. Layoffs and job cuts right now, and Microsoft is at the forefront of that. As of this recording right now, they just laid off countless amounts of people, closed studios like Tango Works and Arcane, the ones that made Hi-Fi Rush and Redfall, other games as well, Dishonored. They just closed those studios. These are smaller teams that makes artful, passionate projects that people loved. Not talking about Redfall, that was dog shit. I'm talking about Hi-Fi Rush in particular. And they just completely shut out the studio. The game was a success, sold millions of units, closed it down. Now the concern right now for me and for a lot of people having is, what are they gonna do with a team that's like Ninja Theory, with a niche game like Hellblade? Because it's not like a Marvel Spider-Man or a Marvel's Blade like Arcane France is working on. This is a game that's gonna be for a particular audience that's not going to appeal to the mainstream, in my opinion, especially with the lack of marketing that Xbox is doing here lately for this game, because a lot of people don't even know the fucking game is coming out. Then it comes out less than a week from now of me having this recording. So my question is, what happens when and if a year from now they decide again it's 2025, the shareholders are not happy, we need to lay off another major team, one in particular like Ninja Theory. So once that happens, do they lose all control and all IP? Like, will they not own Hellblade 2 any longer? That scares the shit out of me, because that's the way the industry is going. In particular, that's the way Xbox has been going. But the only bright side I see is that they're really trying to become just a publisher of games, similar to what Ninja Theory was looking for all along. So if they can take Hellblade 2 and put that on PlayStation 5 and put it on Steam, I'd much rather that. That's going to allow the team to keep going and keep working on their next title, which they're already working on a new title that's to be announced called Project Mara. So they are already in development for that game. I would imagine Hellblade 2 is done. This game has been in development for a long time, literally since 2018. They started development on Hellblade 2. It was showed in 2019 Game Awards as for announced, showed again 2021, showed again 2022, showed again in 2023. Now we're finally in 2024. I don't know. It makes me nervous. I don't trust these big corpos, especially with the shit they've pulled lately on these teams, but I really hope Ninja Theory lands on their feet with this game. That's why it's so important for us to go out and play this game, for us to buy this game. Even if you don't have an Xbox, even if you don't have a PC, watch people play the game, watch people stream the game just to show that the interest and the love is there. But the fucked up part is, even if we do all of that, they still can literally just go and shut down the studio just like that. All I say is just support as much as you can. If you don't have the money to buy it, you know, show love on socials, retweet, post, do this, do that. And I would be remiss if I don't add, in the midst of all of this, one name has been consistent out of everything that I've told you so far. One of the original owners and creators of Ninja Theories, Tamim Intanades, he actually left the studio before the release of Hellblade 2 in April of 2024. Now, he said on social media, which who knows if this is true or not, but he said he actually wanted to leave the studio after the original release of Hellblade, but he stayed on because he wanted to see Hellblade 2 see it through. So to bring this bitch home, because I've waited on way too long, protect your mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'll leave links down below for anyone just needs someone to talk to. If you're depressed, if you're down about something, listen, we have a Discord community. Someone is always in there talking about games, cracking jokes, making memes. Just if you look at my profile, you see the link literally right above here somewhere. I'll leave a link down in the description below so you can join the Discord. You can come in here. I try to reply to as many people as I can. Plus, I'll leave, the mental health awareness hotline, emails. They have chat, text if you don't want to call them. They have all of that. Just know, as someone who deals with, depression or chronic depression at times, I had my share of like bad shakes. Trust me, having someone there for you can talk to, or for me, having a game to play that's your outlet to help you get lost in the world. Like I put on Ratchet and Clank and get lost in that game, or put on Cyberpunk and get lost in the world of, get lost in that world, or God of War, just anything that helps you really decompress some of those negative thoughts that you may be having. Just know you are not alone, and reach out to someone, anyone. Because trust me, I don't like people really in real life. I mean, I do YouTube, GJ, but me, Ellis, I would classify myself as an introvert. I don't like going out. I don't like being around people. I get extreme anxiety when I see crowds of people, to the point like I've had panic attacks before when I see too many people, especially now that I'm a father with the kids. It's a lot. So I like staying off to myself, but sometimes you need to go out and mix and mingle just to get some fresh air, touch grass, as they say. But just know you're not alone in this shit. Somebody loves you, and just reach out. And this is a very important game to the gaming community. Go support this game, and hopefully within 10 years from now, we'll have more games like this that's filled with passion and love. If not, we all gonna be playing in the cloud live service shooters with battle passes and paywalls across the board. And that right there for me is a true nightmare.
One of the things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art form. And it means that the situation and what success is for each game and studio is also really unique. Like there's no one size fits all to it for us.
Why the fuck you lying? Why?
Hi everyone, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox.